All right. Hello, everyone. And today, my name is Omar, and I will be presenting DTruth on behalf of Team 10. DTruth is a music metadata knowledge graph. So metadata is a valuable resource in the music industry. And as we've seen over the weekend, we've seen several problems in validating this metadata. And when we don't have correct metadata, this can harm artists, specifically smaller artists that don't have a big artist team to correct and provide the correct metadata for the artist. So as a solution, we thought of DTruth, which is based on a knowledge graph. What is a knowledge graph? A knowledge graph is a representation of real-life entities, and it displays the relationship between these entities using nodes and edges. A node represents a real-life entity, and edges represent relationships. As an example here, we took Haik, which is an underground techno artist, and Kams as another example, and we can see how we can build a graph using the chart metrics API to enrich their data and provide a way of displaying links that wouldn't be there on other data sources. So both edges and nodes carry metadata. Nodes specifically carry data regarding identifiable information that we know is true about a specific fingerprint or identity. And edges carry information such as URLs, contributions, and metadata trust scores. So if we take an example here, if we press on one of the artists, we can see a lot of their data that would otherwise be in chat metric, as well as, for instance, the Spotify API and SoundCloud API. So how we do it is by scraping different data sources and using unique identifiers that are present on these different platforms to create a digital fingerprint for each node. Examples of these identifiers are ISRC codes, UPC codes, phone name plus date of birth, and other platform-specific identifiers. Artists can also claim their data nodes and provide us with accurate information about their profile. And in that sense, we would provide other data platforms with a truth score on how well they do provide their data. Here's an example where Haik, for instance, an artist who was mainly known on SoundCloud, was missing SoundCloud information on on chart metrics and other platforms. We were able to do a quick cross-reference using some of the IRC codes for some of their tracks, and we were able to find the actual correct information regarding their SoundCloud profile. So to summarize, we basically scrape data from various trustworthy sources, build a visual knowledge graph that can help people understand more about the trustworthiness of their data, and we present the user's score, a trust score for each of these pieces of data. We constantly update for correction, and we allow artists to do that or other bigger entities, bigger music entities. So for future solutions, we also looked at introducing AI approaches, but that approach was too big given the scope of this conference. And we also want to distribute authority over several large DSPs and record labels, so we have various sources of information and a single source of truth. We also would like to add more data sources to improve our trust scores that we provide for different data sources. So I think we're a bit early, but yeah, that was DTruth. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay. We do have some significant time left, so we'll be a little bit more gratuitous on padding out the answers for the judges. So David already has his hand up quite enthusiastically. So David, do you want to go first?
Thanks. You did a good job of explaining the problem and how you were going to solve it, but you didn't, or at least I didn't understand who's going to use your service and how are they going to interact with it.
So I wasn't sure how deep to go into each of the different ends, so I thought just to give an idea. So the concept itself allows us to feed the system different metadata based on what we need. But for a very simple example, I have a small record label, and I have a lot of small artists that I have to manage and share their different social media information, or for instance, first name and last name for specific releases. But I use DistroKid, so I don't deal directly with a DSP, but I need to have some sort of correct information to ensure that it ends up on the right spot. So this is more targeting people who do not have whole team or a lot of resources to be able to correct their data and also obtain data relating to the artists that they are managing, in case they are, for instance, very busy or aren't available for that period of time, and also to enrich their existing data.
So does it push the correct data back into the platforms that don't have the correct data in it?
Yeah, so for instance, if let's say you're using Chatmetric and you want to know whether the data that's being provided is correct or not, you could basically run this in parallel as an extension to try and provide you with a more accurate representation of where this data comes from and whether it is actually verifiable or not.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, great. Kieran, do you want to go next?
Sure. This is basically what we do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm very curious on one, how you are validating the sources that you have and assigning a trust factor to them, and
Yep.
two, how you're planning on validating contributions made from other artists.
So, okay, so we didn't get a lot of time to test out different technologies, but one specifically interesting data set was a Rebel data set, which was used to create relations directly from descriptive text and tags. And we would have used different statistical analysis to determine these trust scores. But also there are some known facts, for instance, or not facts, but relative to the music industry, these are known unique codes such as IRCs and UPCs and stuff like that. And when we see those common in specific platforms, which require them to be validated before they're released, we can form a specific trust score based on that. I don't know if that answered your question or if there was another question.
So say that you have like 3 different platforms that have, in your example, of the same ISRC, but a different track name. How do you?
Yeah, so in that case, we map a specific node to this entity with 2 different nodes showing that these are attached to this specific entity, be it a track or a specific artist. And you'd be able to see yourself what the differences are, or if in the future we are able to implement analysis models, we can do that using AI or stuff like that. We just believe that you should know what this data is coming from and whether it should have a high trust score or not, because we see a lot of numbers being put out, but no actual truth as to where it's coming from.